Would anyone sit at that table, or is it?
I can say, I
Okay.
just didn't want to.
Had at least several more marked down for coming in, so they'll probably be a little late.
Oh.
Hello. Welcome.
Thanks. It's kind of late.
It's all right. Just have a seat. We're about to get started. Okay, so we're going to get started. We'll let a few more stragglers come in, if they're still coming. And you guys are probably wondering why the title is called Motivational Gifts when it said Spiritual Gifts Workshop. And I'm going to explain that from the very beginning. And so, my name is Keith Sun. I'm a career coach at Region University Career Services. In this workshop, we're going to go through your motivational gifts, which is a category of what your spiritual gifts are. So the biblical background is there's 3 categories of spiritual gifts in the Bible. The way Bible scholars categorize it, there's motivational, ministry, and manifestation. And so if you look up these specific passages, Romans 12, 6-8, 1 Corinthians chapter 12, and Ephesians chapter 4, it kind of goes into depth about what those specific types of gifts are. And so the passage from 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verses 4-6 says, there are different kinds of gifts, but the same Spirit distributes them. There are different kinds of service, but the same Lord. There are different kinds of working, but in all of them and everyone, it's the same God at work. And so you'll notice there are 3 different words in the Greek: charismata, diakonion, and ergometon. I don't know if my Greek is up to par, but yes.
I'm having a hard time hearing you online.
Okay. Is that better? Should I speak louder or good?
Someone said better now.
Okay. Well, I'll try to speak louder then for you guys online. And so, like I said, there's 3 different words that summarize this passage right here. And we're talking about gifts, charismata, that specifically is the one we're going to focus on, because that's the one that's most important to develop and to focus on and to be aware of. So every believer has one primary motivational gift or gifts. So it's likely you'll have more than one. And so I wouldn't be too surprised by that. And so if you look at that Romans 12 passage that I mentioned on the previous slide, there is prophesying or perceiving, serving, teaching, exhorting or encouraging, giving, ruling or administrating, and showing mercy. And then each believer's motivational gift expresses itself through a variety of ministry gifts. And that's how it gets connected. You have apostle, prophet, teacher, miracle worker, a healer, someone who speaks in tongues, interpreter of tongues. Wherever you stand on the spectrum of spiritual gifts, these are ministry roles that the Holy Spirit empowers people to in vocational ministry. And when we exercise our motivational gift through our ministry gifts, the Holy Spirit determines what manifestations will most benefit people. And that's the 3rd category, where people might get a message of wisdom or knowledge, faith, healing, miracles, a prophecy, some kind of discernment, and tongues as well. So the way it works, like I said, is everybody has a primary motivational gift or number of motivational gifts. And then those express themselves through the Holy Spirit, sometimes depending if you're called into a vocational ministry role, like apostle, prophet, teacher, etc. And then as we exercise them, God sees fit through the Holy Spirit to determine what effects they'll have on the people that you're serving and you're ministering to. And so these motivational gifts, there are 7. Okay, so we have number 1, perceiver, server, teacher, encourager, giver, ruler, and showing mercy. And let me just explain the first one, perceiver, why we use the word perceiver when in the Bible it says prophet. This motivational gift survey is not only used in churches, but is also used in secular business organizations. And so we use the word perceiver, just not to get it mixed up with the word prophet, and also because prophecy is a separate category of gifts. We don't want to confuse those two either. And so perceiver kind of takes away the religious load that kind of comes with that word, so that it makes more sense to someone from a secular setting. And so what are these gifts? They are God-given gifts. God's built them into us and made them part of us to be used for the benefit of others and His glory. And why are they called motivational? Because when you're given them, when they're given to you, they provide the motivating force for our lives, and they shape our personalities. And each of you should use whatever gift, same Greek word, charismata, motivational, you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms. And that comes from 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 10. And so we are called as Christians to use the motivational gifts that we have been given by God in order to express that for whatever ministry we're called into, whether it's going to be in the church, whether it's full-time vocational, whether it's going to be in the business place, the workplace, wherever that's going to be. Little comic. I'm glad plumbing is not one of the spiritual gifts either, for a lot of reasons. And so why does this matter to you? Why does it matter to you guys who are online? We are Regent. We're not ODU. We're not William & Mary. We're not Virginia Tech. We're distinctive because our motto is Christian leadership to change the world. And so we strive to live up to what our university is all about, to help you guys as students and alumni be able to live out your calling that God has given you. And our department, Career Services specifically, our mission is to help you guys, the students, connect to your calling in the world of work and to make all of you aware of your unique gifting from God. Because when we say God's made you uniquely, what does that mean? We want to flesh out and say God has given you particular gifts, particular personalities, tendencies, specific callings to specific career fields that we want to help discuss with you and bring that to life. And this also helps promote your professional development. Knowing your motivational gifts helps you better understand where you have room to grow and where God can really strengthen you and help you build that character that you need to fulfill your calling. And like I said, knowing your motivational gifts, in summary, enables you to be effective Christians to benefit the world and to guide you in your career journey. Because often our gifts are connected to the work that we do. And so it sums up what it means to be Christian leaders changing the world. And so about this test, this was developed by Dr. Del Vecchio. She's a Regent alum. And she had this assessment published in the most recent International Journal of Leadership Studies, published by Regent in spring 2015. And what makes it distinctive from other spiritual gifts assessments is that it's statistically valid. And so it's jargon and academic research, meaning that it accurately measures what it's supposed to measure. There are tons of tests you can take online for spiritual gifts. Not all of them are great. You want one that actually is validated by modern and current research methods and actually has accuracy and to what it's trying to measure in terms of our motivational gifts. And I said before, you can use it in both secular business organizations and churches. And if you're someone who wants to be a leader in any kind of setting, it's really key to know what your employees' motivational gifts are, to know what really drives them. If you're putting employees in the right places, you know they will thrive if it matches what they're motivated to do. And so leaders need an understanding of what intrinsically motivates and satisfies different people who work with them. When you put people in the right role, they flourish with the gifts that God has given them. And so I'm going to have you guys take the test right now so you guys can get an idea of what your gifts are. And for those of you who are online, if you'll see the link on the PowerPoint, you'll be able to log on to that and click take the survey. Do you guys need a paper version? Okay. You have the computer then? Okay. Okay. You guys need your pens. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys about 10 minutes to take the test. And my instructions to you are, whether you're taking it in person or online, I want you to kind of think carefully about each item. Respond to each question based on how you generally think, feel, and act, not how you'd like to act, not how you should think, feel, or act. Just be as truthfully aware of yourself as possible. And there's no right or wrong answer, so don't worry about having to measure up to any grading scale. So I'll give you guys 10 minutes for both online and the paper versions, and you guys can get started. And there will be, what?
We put the URL back up.
Yeah, no problem. So it's givetest.org for those who are online. And you'll click on the tab on the top, take the survey. And
Wait.
Oh.
Okay.
Good? Okay. All right, I'll give you guys about 10 minutes and we'll get back together and talk about those gifts. All right, guys, we're going to come back together, and hopefully you guys online are done as well. And I've neglected to put on the PowerPoint, the paper for instruction. Your motivational gift is going to be the ones with the highest number, usually going to be 17 and up. So whichever ones are the highest for you will be your top motivational gifts. So would you guys like to share what your top spiritual gifts are? Motivational?
Looks like perceiver for me.
Perceiver for you, okay.
How was Mercy?
Mercy, okay.
Mine, I have teacher and encourager.
Teacher and encourager?
Solidly tied.
Okay, solidly tied. Wow, it's a great combination. Okay, wonderful. So, yes,
You have server and perceivers.
wonderful.
hmm
Okay,
Ruler and server, mercy and server.
well, it's got some variety in here, so that's wonderful. Okay, so hopefully it wasn't too hard to do the online survey. And now we're going to move on and explain a bit more about what each gift means. So if you're a perceiver, Tom, you're a perceiver. So anybody else who is a perceiver, you're someone who quickly and accurately identifies good and evil. You're someone who usually sees everything as either black or white, and you tend to easily perceive the character of individuals and groups. And so for you, it's important that you see repentance in other people. You see change of heart. You want to see people be really operating from the right point of view. And you believe accepting difficulties can produce positive personal growth. And you tend to be pretty frank and outspoken. And you're someone that usually boldly operates on spiritual principles. And perception, it works better if your eyes are open. Going with your being very frank and outspoken, you can be a very persuasive speaker at times. And for you, you're eager to see your own blind spots and help others see theirs. And you, like the previous slide, you strongly promote spiritual growth of both individuals and groups. So you feel the need to verbalize or dramatize what you see. You're someone with strong opinions and convictions. You tend to be introspective, and you have strict personal standards. Now the server is someone who easily recognizes practical needs and is quick to meet them. You're someone who likes to be doing things behind the scenes, doing stuff, a lot of meticulous little tasks behind the scenes that are important to be done. You enjoy manual projects, jobs, and functions. You keep everything in meticulous order. You're usually a detailed person with good memory, and you tend to enjoy showing hospitality. Man, I wish I could do that out of the teapot.
That's pretty funny.
And as a server, you enjoy working on shorter-term goals than long-range goals. That kind of goes back into you being a bit more meticulous and detail-oriented. You kind of focus on the trees rather than the entire forest. And so you feel the greatest joy in doing something that is directly helpful to people around you. You're generally not in the spotlight as much. You prefer to kind of be out of the forefront, out of the public eye. Not that you can't lead, but you generally don't feel as comfortable leading as someone else, like say a ruler might be. You view serving to be kind of top priority in life, and you prefer doing a job, just getting it done yourself, rather than delegating it. And it goes back to preferably not wanting to lead others. You prefer wanting to support others who are in leadership of a group or of a place that you're working at. Now the teacher, you're someone who's a truth seeker. You are very logical. You pursue truth in a very systematic way. You research things to make sure things are up to snuff. You check out the facts. You love to study, do research. And you're just very concerned that the truth is found in every situation. And you tend to be more objective than subjective, meaning you tend to think more with your head than you do with your heart sometimes, especially if you're focusing on researching the facts that can kind of come out. And may or may not be the case that you develop and use a large vocabulary. If you're someone who researches a lot of information, chances are you probably read a lot, you probably know a lot of things, you probably have a very sophisticated vocabulary. You solve problems as a Christian by starting with scriptural principles and you work your way out from there. You're usually intellectually sharp. Most teachers have to be. They're very self-disciplined, very emotionally self-controlled. Again, it goes back to being more thinking with your head than with your heart. Similar to the perceiver, you also have strong convictions and opinions, but you base it on what you research and what you investigate. That actually is factually true. Encourager, I love these people. Encourager, they're pretty much what their name means. They encourage others to live up to their full potential. And rather than like a teacher who loves researching things and finding out the facts behind something, you rather just live it out, practically apply it. And you love to prescribe steps of action to aid personal growth. You encourage people. You want to see them succeed. You love being around people. You're a people person. In that case, that means that you're pretty social. You're also pretty fluent in communication as well. And oftentimes I find SpongeBob's a great encourager. You're usually well-liked given how positive and usually encouraging of a presence you are. And you rather just live by example rather than telling people how to live. You make decisions pretty easily and you just get stuff done. Whatever is started, you usually complete it. But you don't like sticking around when there's conflict. You rather clear it up quickly. And whenever you have ideas and thoughts, you usually need a sounding board to kind of bounce those ideas and thoughts off of, just so you have an idea of where you're going to go. The giver. So, giver, it's not just money. We usually associate giver with being generous with your finances. That's not the only way you can be a giver. You can give freely when you have possessions, time, energy, and love. You're a generous person by nature. You love to give without others knowing about it, but not just any gift, not just maybe something from the dollar store. You want it to be something of high quality, something of high craftsmanship. No offense to the dollar store. I love the dollar store. But you give to support and bless others or to advance a ministry. And you're also a very hospitable person. Similar to the server, you're a very hospitable person. Because you give a lot, you're generally pretty smart with your finances. If you think about it, if you're going to be giving a lot of money away or giving a lot of your time away, possessions away, you usually manage yourself well, knowing how much you're able to give. And in the church, you strongly believe in tithing and giving as much as you can to the church and to whatever ministries you believe in. And so the giver can tend to be very industrious. A lot of givers have natural and effective business ability. It makes sense with your financial management acumen. You're able to get the most bang for your buck. But you usually have a hard time receiving gifts from oneself. You're so focused on giving to other people, it's hard for you to accept something for yourself. And I love this comic about negotiating salary. I've written our offer on a slip of paper. I believe you'll find it generous. And the guy who's interviewing says, is this your phone number? Baseball. Anyway, so giver, not like the book or the movie, giver as in being generous by character. Ruler and administrator. You're someone who is much more in the public eye. You want to be someone who is organizing things, which is why we added the administrator to kind of help flesh that out. Ruler it's a loaded word throughout history, and so we try to kind of make it a little easier for you to understand what kind of goes into being a ruler. You express ideas and you organize things very well. You respect and handle authority well. You don't mind being in a position of authority. You feel comfortable doing that. These are usually people who will assume leadership. They're probably good managers, supervisors. They're more of a long-range person. They're a visionary person. They like setting the long-range goals, what their organization is going to be all about, what their ministry is going to be all about. And it goes back to your organization. You easily facilitate resources and people to accomplish tasks or goals. It's important for you as a leader, when you're a ruler, to model excellence. It goes back to you being delegating tasks and supervising people, being a great manager. You carry a lot of zeal and enthusiasm. We all know those inspirational speakers, people who are very high up top in big companies or big ministries who have that authoritative presence, that they know what they're doing. They set the goals. They kind of mobilize everyone to meet their vision. They prefer to move on to a new challenge when something is completed. Once they delegate it, they just want to move on. They're usually not someone who likes routine. And they're not afraid to be innovative. They will introduce new ones when old methods are not working. And they want to see things complete as quickly and effectively as possible. Goes back to the management part. They want to make sure goals are met, outcomes are met, and that things are going smoothly the way they're working toward their vision. Showing mercy. Anything that one was yours. Showing mercy. You're someone who, you have a tremendous capacity to naturally have a very loving nature. Not that the rest are not loving. It's just the showing mercy person is a lot more obvious. They always look for the good in people. They are attracted to people. They're hurting. People kind of on the sidelines or in distress. And they have very good empathy usually. You sense the spiritual, emotional condition of a group or individual. You're very compassionate. You're very quick to remove hurts and relieve distress in others. And not just physical distress, but you're also concerned for their mental, emotional distress, or spiritual distress. If they're having difficulty in life right now, if they're in a season of hardship, if they're struggling with their faith, you're there for them. You're willing to kind of help them back up and to see if you can be some comfort to them. Showing mercy. If any of you have seen the TV series Full House, so Uncle Jesse, his favorite catchphrase is, have mercy. So I thought that was kind of cool. Anyway, love the hair though. People who have mercy are motivated to help people have right relationships with one another, and they're trustworthy. You feel like you can depend on this person. People who show mercy, you're a conflict avoider. I mean, you prefer not to confront if you don't have to. You love harmony, and you want people to have right relationships with each other. Different than a teacher, you're probably more by your heart than your head. It goes back to your compassionate, your sense of feeling for someone's distress. And you really love to see others really get back up on their feet and blessed, and grieve when you see others hurting. And you're someone who loves to intercede for the hurts and problems of others. Now, for us at Career Services, once you know your motivational gifts, it's like, okay, I'm more self-aware, but what do I do with it? How do I live this out? How do I apply this to my life? And so us at Career Services have come up with ways in which you can really develop your gift, especially when you're working towards a specific career path that God may be calling you to. And so if you're a perceiver, some action steps for you in the category of job search. Someone like you matters. What matters for you is that the company's values and mission statement. That's something that you're very concerned about. And again, it goes back to like judging a character, an individual or group. You have a sense of what's right and wrong. You want to make sure you're working for someone or for a ministry that their values, their mission statements, maybe their doctrine that you agree with. You eliminate jobs that have very little social interaction. That's also something you can do when you're perusing through employment, different ministries to be a part of. If there's not a lot of social interaction, it's not the best place for you. Not that God still can't use you. You just thrive and flourish more with people. When you're interviewing, whether it's going to be for a ministry or a job position, you can share about your commitment to integrity, as an example. You care about practicing what you preach and excellence. And you can also talk about in your interview what makes you stand out is that you have great discernment. You can help an employer make good decisions. And you understand the values implied by certain tasks and projects. You have that gift of kind of bringing that out in team meetings. For your own personal development, something we advise is just to learn to have grace on yourself. And we all need to do that. We all tend to fail in this area, me included, but especially for the perceiver, just being willing to forgive yourself at times because of the high standards that you hold for yourself. And because you're very frank and outspoken, you kind of call things out as they are and as they should be. Just keeping watch over your pride. It can be very easily have this idea that you know what's best, and you get that sense of pride, superiority, and we know that God opposes the proud and gives grace to the humble. So we're always keeping watch over our pride and developing humility. On the job, wherever you're working, in church, in business, anywhere that you're at, if you're a perceiver, when you're going to give some input to someone, I would suggest you rehearse the information you plan to share with someone else in order to come across respectful and considerate of people's feelings. You're a server. So the server, when you're job search, when you're looking for places to work, just try to see if there's any evidence of community service. Do they value that? It'll show by what they do in the local community. And if they value service in the community, they will value you as a server. And look for positions where you're primarily based in a setting outside the public eye. If you're going to be doing a lot of public speaking, or if you're going to be constantly in a higher leadership position where you're going to constantly be supervising and being very high-level management, that may or may not be the best place for you. You work better when the public eye is off of you. You love being behind the scenes. So when you mention in your interview, if you're applying for a position, talk about that you're willing and committed to the grunt work, the necessary stuff that no one really wants to do, but they have to get done for anything you try to do. Things behind the scenes that make an event upfront successful. What makes outspoken leaders so successful is all the people working behind the scenes doing the things that allowed them to flourish. And because you love serving, you can share a time in the past, either at work or in ministry, where you're able to recognize a need and fulfill it. For you, personal development, look for ways to serve the friends around you. You have an amazing motivation that a lot of people don't have. I mean, we're all called to serve as Christians, but you are especially gifted to make that happen. And for a lot of people feel loved the most when they're being served. That's true for a lot of people. And so that's an easy way for you to be loving as a Christian and to be able to live out your calling. And for you, because you're so focused on trying to meet other people's needs, learn to set boundaries. It's good to know what you're responsible for and not responsible for. And that's a growth process. It's a lifelong process. And we're just here to help you get started and think about those things so you know what to focus on, how you can grow with God in your gift. And when you're on the job, be assertive. You see needs that others don't because you have that natural inclination to notice things behind the scenes. Everybody's so focused on getting the work done. Everything's fast-paced. Things might be going on here and there. If there's needs that have to be done, bring it up. Chances are people will really appreciate you more for those things that are necessary to get done that kind of get unnoticed. And because you love trying to meet needs, it's better to have people to partner with you. If you have all these needs and you're trying to meet them by yourself, it's easy to get burnt out. And it goes back to the boundary setting said previously, just so that you're not overcommitted. Teachers. Because you're researchers, you're constantly gathering info, you're learning the facts behind things. You would seek positions that have innovative environments that are not routine, that are not just the same usual things day in and day out. You want innovation. You want a constantly changing environment. So for you, if you're looking for a job, something that you can do that kind of caters to your researching gift is to be able to create a brainstorm of requirements you'd like in a job. Something you can research, skills, outcomes, benefits, environment, salary, all that matters because you want a place that employs your skills best. You want a livable salary, don't we all, and a good work environment, and if they put you in the right position, you will flourish. Interviewing. Ask about opportunities for advancement. That's something you as a teacher can really flourish in and stand out in an interview when you're really committed to being part of a company for the long run. And with your desire to find the facts and the truth behind things, it's good to explain how your ability to not be easily swayed by anything at face value. You tend to take things with a grain of salt and research things first. You try to maintain objectivity, which is easier said than done sometimes, but we need people like that who can keep us objective. Personal development. Now for you love helping other people learn. But that is a great recruitment skill. If you have a cause that you really believe in and you want to advocate for, why not consider recruiting someone for a cause that you care about or a ministry that you believe in? Your teaching ability, helping other people learn, you can help someone learn about a ministry that you're committed to, that you support, and that you encourage them to be a part of as well. And since you love learning and helping others learn, consider taking classes for personal enrichment. It doesn't have to be here in region, it doesn't have to be in grad school, it doesn't have to be paid. It can just be something at the local community center or at the YMCA, whatever you decide to do. That will keep you from getting too bogged down with boredom as a teacher. You're constantly getting new information, and it makes your life a lot more vivid and enjoyable for yourself. And when you're on the job, something that you can do is to ask for more information or resources when necessary. It shows the people that you're working with that you care about getting things done right, and you want to make sure you have all the information that you need to be able to perform something well. And when you're wherever you're at, when people come in that are new, you're great at training them up. You're great at getting them acclimated to the workplace, to the church, to whatever context you find yourself in. It's an easy way for you to contribute to your workplace as a Christian and to be loving and helpful with your gift. Encourager. This person who, like I said before, is a people person. In a job search, something you can talk about and look for is people skills. You have that to offer on a resume or a cover letter. You have that to offer to an employer. People need social people who can really do those things that require a lot of social interaction. So example, I put mentoring, you're interested in personal development, public speaking, those skills you can easily market to an employer. And for you, since you tend to think more with your heart than with your head sometimes, you're very much a people person, you're not much of a researcher, you're not much of a data gathering kind of person. It's good to partner with someone who has that teaching gift to be able to help you do research on companies and positions. You don't really enjoy the back searching, but it's good to have that taken care of so you don't end up in a place that you didn't want to be. Interviewing. Being the encouraging, positive person that you are, you can really focus on expressing gratitude and a positive demeanor. So many employers, whether or not you got offered a job, really appreciate it when you get a thank you card from you. And even if you don't get offered the job, just the fact that you make a very personal thank you to an employer that takes you seriously during an interview can go a long way. They might remember you, they might connect with you again. It really helps you in your job search when you're interviewing for different things. And if they ask what makes you stand out, express your ability to be an uplifting presence in the work environment. Now, personal development. You're an encourager. Why not be a mentor or a peer advocate in the community? Being around people who need the uplifting presence that you have to offer. And you love speaking into people's lives. Something that you can grow in is to learn to be slow to speak, as it says in the Bible, instead of impulsive when you have something to share, taming your tongue. We all have to work on that, including encouragers, but I just put that specifically for them because they are very quick to speak into people's lives and may not be as aware that they need to kind of rein it in sometimes. That's why your words have distinctive power, being that you have that gift of being able to lift people up. You also have the possibility of bringing people down. There's a great responsibility that goes with the words that you have, and not just for encouragers, but for all of us. And when you're on the job, something that makes you unique that you can contribute as a Christian in the workplace or in the ministry, why don't you attend team building functions? A lot of companies today have a lot of team building events. People might go to happy hour after work, or they might go to a fun event in town. And you can attend that. You have the ability to be positive and encouraging and easily show the love of Christ to people, and it really helps build team chemistry. And people love being around you, so they're going to be around you more and see the kind of example that you have to offer them through Christ. Giver action steps. Because you're very hospitable, always consider the hospitality career field or public service sector. That's something that's really good for givers, as well as business opportunities. If you're thinking of doing something that's business related, you love handling resources, you're good at it. But at the same time, you want to maximize the bang for your buck. And so that's something you can kind of look into, whether or not you really do want to do business, if God's calling you to that. Any kind of way that helps you take advantage of your gift in managing resources is always a good way to go. In your interview, something you can ask, because interviewers always ask if you have any questions for them. You can ask questions about, tell me about the company's financial giving. Do you guys have any opportunities to host? Do you get visitors a lot? Do you have tours? How can I be a part of that? That's something that really makes you stand out as a giver. And when they ask for any past examples of how you were successful before, you mention an example of how you served others successfully or how you were particularly financially fruitful for a past employer. I mean, a lot of businesses love numbers. They love it when they see you like, oh my goodness, you helped them gain a profit from what they did. And for that, any company or business will find you very desirable or as an employer. Personal development. You're very generous, but prayerfully decide to give financially to a ministry or a church or any kind of charity organization. I mean, no matter how generous you or I tend to be, we all have limited resources that God gives us. And so decide to give financially to what specific ministries you really care about, what parts of the church you really want to be a part of and involved in more. And because you're hospitable, it'd be a great way to love on the people in your church, the people in your life, the people in your neighborhood. Host them in your own home. It's an easy way for you to connect with others and to demonstrate your generosity. And part of being a Christian is being willing to practice hospitality. And so you have a very great motivation to do that. And when you're on the job, why not assist someone with an overwhelming task? You're generous not only with your money, you're generous with your time, who you are, your resources. Why not bring in treats and little gifts for your office or workplace? I know who those people are, and I love them. And I'm pretty sure you guys will love them too, when you bring in free food or little things that just brighten up the place, and you can enjoy. And just, I love those people. They just make the workplace that much more fun. Now the ruler or administrator, you value leadership. You value management. If you're going in as entry level, say you're going to be a recent college grad, you don't have a lot of experience. How can I be a leader if I don't have the experience? Well, check to see if there are opportunities for advancement. Ask about that. Ask them, how long were you at your position? How long have you been working with the company? How did you get to the position that you were at now? Looking for ways to kind of climb that ladder is very important for you. And for you, it's important to find a challenging new environment each day. You get bored with routine as well, but at the same time, you're readily adaptable and you're willing to take risks. You're a visionary. You set that long-term goal. You want to go after and get it. In your interview, what can make you stand out is to talk about your commitment to whatever vision the company or church or ministry has. Because you're a visionary, you see the big picture. You see the forest rather than the individual trees. Mention how you stand out from other applicants as a gifted leader. You're able to mobilize people effectively. That's always hard to do. When people are planning events, when they're coordinating big projects, someone like you can be a great asset to a workplace. And in your personal development, you're so goal-oriented at work. Be careful not to neglect your personal and family needs. We call this self-care, where you're able to kind of care for yourself, tend to your own needs, have a balanced family life. It's not all about the work. Work is important, and God calls us to work hard and to work with excellence, but not at the neglect of your own personal care and your family. And learn to see people as people. When you're busy coordinating and organizing people, it's easy to kind of miss them for who they actually are and see them more as pawns to be used. And it can sometimes come across that way when you're trying to get the goal accomplished. So intentionally take time to get to know people just as people. Don't just ask them, don't just talk to them when you have something you need from them. Just sit down, have a conversation with them. When you're on the job, when you're delegating, you can empower others to take responsibility. You assign tasks, you can see who has the best gifts and talents for what project. Empower them, help them take responsibility for any challenges, new tasks that you have coming up. Mercy. So you're someone who fits very well in the helping profession. And not just the helping profession, but people who show mercy tend to love being in helping professions, which can be like medicine, ministry, counseling, social work, things where you're directly working with people who are kind of down and out. And something you can do in your job search is to specify on your resume. You have those people skills. Everybody loves people skills. And you have the ability to work with others as a team. It goes back to the harmony that you have. To want to avoid conflict, you are a great team player. You can kind of process that and explain that to a potential employer. And so when you're doing that, that's easily marketable when you're looking for a job. In your interview, we mentioned that showing mercy means you're very trustworthy in general. It's very obvious and very easily noticed. And so talk about how that's desirable as an employee. You want someone who you can depend on, who's not going to go behind your back. Someone who's going to be honest, and willing to be upfront about things, and willing to maintain that harmony. Ask questions about work culture. Work culture really matters to people who show mercy. They really want a relationally warm work culture. Otherwise, they're not going to thrive as well as they would hope. And so having a warm place, people who may be very friendly, make sure you check that out when you're interviewing. And personal development. Avoiding conflict is a growth area for all of us, learning conflict resolution skills. And that's something that, it's a lifelong thing. It's something to kind of think about starting now, learning how to resolve conflict, not just at work, but with your family, your significant relationships, people in your life that matter to you. Partner with someone who thinks logically. You want to make a better decision with the whole picture in mind. You tend to think very much with your emotion. You're a very empathic person. You're very compassionate. You have those feelings there that can oftentimes override your better judgment. And so sometimes it's probably good to partner with someone who thinks logically. They can help you to make a better decision. And on the job, because you're a very patient person, you have that compassionate nature. We all run into frustrations from a customer, from a fellow employee, from someone that's underneath you. Why not seek to offer that help in tending to those complaints? We all know, if you've ever been in customer service, the worst customers who vent all those frustrations, who make a scene, you're probably the best person to kind of de-escalate something because you have that compassionate and merciful nature. And because you're a slow-paced person, you tend to be slow-paced. Keep track of deadlines when you have things to accomplish, whether it's school, work, any family errands. It's important to keep track of those. And so we came up with just some possible career fields, depending on what gift you have. And it's not an exhaustive list, but it's just something, if you're kind of stumped, I have no idea what to look into. I have no idea what to pursue. I don't know what God's calling me to. Where do I start? And so if you're a perceiver, we thought, vocational ministry, full-time ministry, criminal justice is a possibility. Server, hospitality, customer service, teacher, education, work in a research lab. Encourager, you'd be a great coach, work in a humanitarian organization. Giver, finance, human resources. Ruler, business or law is often something that rulers consider. And showing mercy, healthcare, social services. This is not an exhaustive list, like I said, just some things to kind of get your mind going about what you think might be out there for you if you're asking that question. And so we at Career Services are here to help you dialogue and kind of flesh that out and process that. And so we know this could be a lot of information. This can be, confusing, and you still not connecting the dots. We want to be there for you as a resource. And so we have career coaches and also career resource center consultants. We help you with everything that's career related, including your resume, cover letter, CV, interviewing, how to network. The CRC consultants help you more if you're curious about learning more about your kind of strengths, your personality. I don't really know who I am, what I have to offer. I kind of want to make sure I know what I'm getting myself into. They're a great resource as well. And because we're both an on-campus and online student of a university, we're available for appointments in person or online or through the phone. And so we do all sorts of media to communicate with you. And so we cater to you. And we have two ways you can access the scheduler. Is you can either go to our main website, region.edu/CS for career services to make an appointment with us, or you can go to your My Region portal if you're still a student and can log in. And you go to the student tab up top. And when you scroll down towards the middle, there will be a section that's called Online Appointment Scheduler. And we would love to have you come in, talk to us on the phone. We want to dialogue with you. We want to see you flourish in the gifts that God has given you. We want to be committed to Region's mission to empower you, to give you the skills needed to survive out there, to flourish out there, and to really make the most of what gifts and talents that God has given you. All right, that's it. So any questions? Yes,
Will
Tom?
that PowerPoint be available later online?
Yes, there will be. So I can email that out after this workshop's over. Yeah. Any online students with questions?
Not yet.
No, it can't be functional.
Yes, that's a classic. So
Good one.
it's a great book, and but because it wasn't really statistically validated, it didn't have much credibility as a research tool, and so that was the reason why Dr. Delavecchia went into making an actual survey that was dependable and reliable from an academic standpoint. Any further questions?
Someone says, thank you, thank you, thank you. Sheds a lot of light for me.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad to hear it. Anybody else, or Keandra, any online questions? Okay, well, thank you guys for participating. Thank you guys online for attending, and I hope this was helpful, and we'd love to dialogue with you more about this afterwards in your time at Region and after you graduate from Region. We're always here for you, whether you're a student or an alumni. So please talk with us. We'd love to see you and flourish and hear about how God's using you. So thank you guys.
Thanks. Thank you.
What's the Jason flag?
Jesus-centered life.
Oh, I love that.
It's I just published a Jesus-centered Bible,
Okay.
and every book in the Bible, they, Old Testament through New Testament, they have blue text. Well, New Testament's red.
Mm-hmm.
Standard red letter Bible, but in Old Testament it's blue, and then they continue to explain how that points to Jesus.
Right.
It's just weird.
Wow. Great. Wow. Love that.
I forgot that sticker was back there.
It's there.
Every now and then we get a glimpse of how others see it.
Yeah, yeah.
I have mine, so. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for coming. And,
Yes. I was struck by definitely added on to what I've gotten out of the whole job search and those.
And I'll put it all together.
Really helpful. Yeah.
Have a good evening.
all right. Bye,
Thank
Tom.
you.
Take
Have a
care.
good one.
Thank you.